women in history I never heard of and wouldn't be surprised if you haven't either. Today, let's talk about Edith Clarke. Edith Clarke was born in 1883 and passed in 1959. Her family prepared her to be a dutiful wife. She decided to be a computer. No, seriously. Edith was born on a farm in Maryland. As a child, she struggled with reading and spelling. But math? That was her thing. It also helped her win at cards. Unfortunately, she was orphaned by the time she was 12. So her uncle sent her to a boarding school. Yes, because sending a child away after they've lost their parents to a place that's unfamiliar with people they don't know totally tracks. Totally. Well, there, they taught her how to be the perfect hostess, wife, and mother. Against her own advice, she was drawn to engineering. Once she graduated, she received a small inheritance from her parents' estate. And against her family and friends' advice, she used it to pay her tuition at Vassar and majored in math and astronomy. After she graduated in 1908, Phi Beta Kappa, she taught for a while. But it wasn't engineering, so she went to work for AT&T. Among her duties there, she was part of the team building the first transcontinental phone line. Still not functioning as an engineer. Well, eventually she landed at MIT, studying engineering. And in 1919, she became the first woman to earn a master's in electrical engineering from that institution. Impressive, right? Yeah, well, it didn't impress employers. She still couldn't get a job as an engineer. Say it with me. Because she was a woman. So she settled for the next best thing. When GE hired her as the supervisor of the women's department in the turbine engineering department. She was way overqualified. But that division worked as computers, calculating stressors in turbines. Told you she was a computer. Still not engineering. But in her spare time, she developed a graphical calculator. It simplified calculations to identify problems in electric power transmission lines. Oh, and she got a patent for that. Having to settle got frustrating. Not engineering. So she left GE and went to Turkey to teach at the Constantinople Women's College. She taught physics. After a year and a half, she agreed to go back to GE in Schenectady, New York. If I said that wrong, you're just going to have to deal. Anyway. Because they had finally pulled their heads out and gave her a position as an engineer. And that made her the first woman in the United States to be employed as an engineer. Okay, first woman to get an engineering degree from MIT. First woman in the US to be a professional engineer. There's other firsts. For example, she was the first woman to present a paper before the American Institute of Civil Engineers. She was also the first woman they named a fellow. And she was the first woman to have full voting rights there. So she retired from GE, but then went to work at the University of Texas, teaching engineering. And that made her the first woman professor of engineering at that school, possibly in the country. Edith wrote at least 18 technical papers. 2 of them were award-winning, both on a regional and a national level. She was the first person, not just woman, to publish a mathematical examination of power lines more than 300 miles long. There was also a textbook, a 2-volume textbook, which became the standard of the industry in her time. Throughout her career, Edith simplified engineering calculations. She was a consultant on the development of hydroelectric dams. Sources said she wrote what could be called software for machines that set the stage for electronic computers. She figured out how to get accurate data about power networks, which could be considered the first step toward power networks. She was recognized several times, both during life and posthumously, from an award given by the Society of Women Engineers for her outstanding contributions to engineering, to her induction to the National Inventors Hall of Fame. She is a testament to overcoming stereotypes, misogyny, and society's disregard for women's intelligence. She solved the problems the men couldn't handle. And Edith, as a human computer, improved how we receive electricity to power our mechanical computers. Despite her many accomplishments and achieving her childhood goal of being an engineer, she once said in an interview, She felt women weren't supposed to be doing things like studying engineering, which goes to show even the most progressive and intelligent woman can be conditioned to believe she's not.